After yesterday's very entertaining matches, what would today bring? I mean, a bit of sleepy time, a bit of chamomile-esque play, but moments of absolute brilliance as well. Shout out to the golden boy Mbappé. Hey guys and gals, I'm Adrian and welcome to my channel, Rabona TV. We do this every day that matches are played, so subscribe if you want to follow along the tournament with myself and the community. Let's go. As we spoke about when Saudi Arabia beat Argentina, a great strikeout goal, a worldie, a peach. That's the great equalizer in football, just as having someone like Robert Lewandowski in your side has a similar effect, where a great strike can come from nowhere. When he's on his game, Lewandowski can pull a rabbit out of his hat from nowhere. That's what the hope was for Poland going into this match. Bide their time and hope that Szczęsny can keep them in it, as he has been brilliant this tournament, but bide their time and hope that a moment of magic can see them snatch a goal and in turn, a result against France. But where Poland have arguably one player who can consistently do remarkable things, France is filled with them. Their entire front four, even an aging Giroud, is capable of pulling a goal out of nowhere. Dembele, Griezmann, Giroud, and Mbappé backed up in central midfield by an Adrien Rabiot who has been contributing goals regularly this season. That, plus the absolute pace, not just of the players in their team, but the pace of their overall play and how they move the ball around. Poland were always very much against it, a polar opposite in some respects. That speed in transition nearly killed Poland 29 minutes in, as a turnover in their own midfield saw Griezmann release Dembele down the right and his squared ball was just out of reach of Giroud, preventing him to get a solid finish on it. The flag was raised on that play, but had it gone in, it looked as though it was onside. A quick warning signal from France, as if that ball has slightly less pace on it, or Giroud had arrived earlier, he would be celebrating his third goal of the tournament. But following the miss from Giroud, Poland really began to settle in this match in that first half. Unafraid suddenly of getting numbers forward, getting closer to the byline to slash balls into the box, or in Matty Cash's case, slashing it through the box with a nice shot pass that went untouched, only for Mbappé to conjure some trouble up through his sheer dribbling ability before forcing a save out of Szczęsny. The better chances fell to France, but Poland weren't just sitting back and hanging on for dear life by any means at that point. In fact, the inverse is true, as in the 37th minute they were buzzing around the French box, forcing a big save out of Lloris from Zielinski, and then the ball was cleared off of the line, but the French wouldn't be held down for long. In part making up for his earlier miss with Szczęsny at his mercy, Olivier Giroud became the French national team's all-time top scorer with his 52nd goal, played through by Mbappé. Giroud didn't even look at the goal after receiving the ball, and with a strange finish, he picked out the side netting for 1-0. Deserved goal, but Poland weren't willing to lay down and attacked France immediately prior to the final whistle being blown for that first half. Overall, a pretty good first half, France exhibiting quality while Poland showing their own as well at times. And just a quick word on Giroud, he managed to beat Thierry Henry's record in 6 fewer appearances, so a shout out to the man is absolutely deserved, criminally underrated still to this day. Both teams seemed to be happy to see the match really slow down in that second half. I think that played more into Poland's hands than anything, as they needed to slow the French down. That said, Giroud scored another banger, but the whistle had gone. Great finish from him. Goal of the tournament nominee, but given it didn't count, it falls into the great disallowed goals of the tournament nominees. But thankfully, one of the greatest talents in the world, on this planet, came to my aid just as I was writing down how the dead atmosphere was killing this game, which I stand by, it was the worst I'd heard yet at this World Cup. But just as I was writing about that and how slow the game had become, a quick transition saw Giroud play wide to Dembele, who of course drifted inside before playing it wide to Mbappé on the other flank, and the man took his time to pick out that top corner and smash it in. Mbappé with his 4th of the tournament. France have not lost when he starts and scores for them. 2-0 France, Cowabunga to Poland, right? I mean, those players who I spoke of earlier who can make a difference, who can conjure something from nothing, they didn't exactly conjure the goals from nothing for France, but Mbappe's finish shouldn't be written off. Naturally, you'd aim to curl it into the far post, but with 2 Polish defenders there blocking that side of the goal, he picked off the near post top corner beautifully. Just want to give him some credit there, and actually, the near post smash is kind of becoming his thing, isn't it? That goal also ensured that he became the youngest player in World Cup history to score 8 goals, surpassing Eusebio of course Pele. And just to put an exclamation point on things for everyone, just to complete the set for himself actually, after picking out one top corner, Mbappé picked out the other top corner, almost casually hitting the ball with such power and placement that it kissed Szczesny's fingertips goodbye before hitting the top corner for 3-0 France. Now, Poland did indeed get a penalty thanks to an Upamecano handball, of which Lewandowski took it, and it was an absolutely terrible penalty, to be honest with you, but it was retaken as the stutter step from Lewandowski drew Lloris off of the line. He used the same technique. He drew him off the line again, but went in the other direction this time to steal that clean sheet from France with the final kick of the game. 3-1 France. They move on to the final 8. For Poland, I'm sorry, but this was kind of the expected outcome when it was known that they were coming up against France. Of all the teams that we have seen at this tournament thus far, France are amongst the strongest, if not the strongest so far. Champions curse? Nah. Shaken off. Injury crisis, they still have one of the strongest squads, and they are playing very, very well to boot. It seems likely that they'll do it again, doesn't it? And who would they be facing next? England versus Senegal, a matchup that we have never seen before in the history of football. Always fun when we get to say that, isn't it? When we get to see teams face each other for the first time ever. But of course, plenty of players in these two sides will have been intimately familiar with each other, as Senegal has players in the top leagues around Europe, including the Premier League, just as England do. For England, Sterling didn't make it into the starting lineup as he was dealing with a family matter back in London, so hopefully all is well there. And so Foden got the start, but instead of Rashford, Bukayo Saka started down the right. Well, Senegal took a while to come alive, having to deal with dangerous crosses on a few occasions in the opening 20 minutes or so. Boulaye Dia and Ismail Assar looking the most dangerous, but Diatta and Jay were also carrying a threat. The best chance of the game, in that first half I should say, was when Sarr played in Dia and he forced a strong wrist out of Pickford in order to keep it at 0-0. But that was easily the best chance of the opening exchanges at least. But all it took was one good counter from England with my favorite player on the squad, Jude Bellingham, driving down that left inside channel and exploiting the space between the fullback and the center back, drawing that other center back over and leaving room for who? Kane? No, Jordan Henderson to side foot the ball past Edouard Mendy for 1-0. Henderson was the 7th difference scorer for England, while Kane, he's yet to get one. But again, he provides more for England than just goals, as he tends to drop deep. Even for this goal, he dropped deep in the build-up to free space for Bellingham to run into before playing him through, so his contributions are still there to be seen if you choose to look past goals. And hey, he nearly got one shortly after that. As soon as England went ahead, all of a sudden the match was stretched in their favor as well, and Senegal looked like they were there for the taking, like England could double their lead heading into the half. And who was it that doubled their lead? Harry Kane, of course, his first of this World Cup after going 6 World Cup matches without a goal, if you go back to the 2018 tournament as well. It was a lovely counterattack from England, started off by Jude Bellingham once again, winning the ball in his own midfield with plenty of Senegal players pushed forward. Bellingham drove through a couple of lines into Senegal's half, dished left to Foden, and with just a single defender covering Foden and Kane, Foden played Kane through and he smashed it past Mendy. 2-0 and a mountain to climb for Senegal as the half ended shortly after that Kane goal. It will be disappointing for Aliou Cissé and the fellas because they were doing so well in the first 30 minutes or so. You'll remember how close they were to taking the lead if it weren't for that wrist from Jordan Ristford. But once they conceded a goal, another felt inevitable, didn't it? And in the second half, another, as Kane dropped deep once again, released Foden down the left, and Foden's ball put it on a plate for Saka. But there was still a lot of work to do. The finish still demanded a lot of quality from Saka, who scored his 3rd of the tournament with a scooped finish over the onrushing Mendy. Unfortunate for Senegal, but without Cheikhou Kouyaté, Mane, and Idrissa Gueye, it was always going to be difficult without those 3 key players, right? Also, shout out Foden, who had 2 assists on the day, a great performance from him after Southgate had pulled Saka and Foden for Grealish and Rashford. I mean, that usually spells no reprieve for Senegal. But Senegal actually started, coming alive once again for the last 20 minutes or so. Coming close at times, but not finding a goal. So they go out in the round of 16, but they have reasons to be happy in 2022. They made it to this stage of the tournament for the first time in 20 years. Oh, and they're champions of Africa, of course. But England 3, Senegal 0. And so we'll have England versus France, which could, I say could because expectations are the most dangerous thing in football, but it could be an incredible match between two teams who both enjoy attacking and both have weapons going forward. That match will happen on Saturday, December 10th, and we'll definitely do a watch along for that one. One thing's for certain, Kylian Mbappé, Ousmane Dembélé, Griezmann, and Giroud will certainly trouble England's backline far more than it has been for this entire tournament. A true elite team is coming with elite players, and we'll see how they stand up to each other. Alright, fellas and ladies, thanks for watching as per usual. I hope you're enjoying the tournament and by extension the coverage of it here on Rabona TV. If so, a like is always appreciated, but not necessary, and we hope to see you back here tomorrow for another video. Take care, guys.